The ancient sealed door never opened for anyone until Human Girl touched it. Welcome back, Master. Before we dive into this story, drop a quick hi in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. It really helps support the channel. The massive stone door loomed before her, its surface covered in swirling patterns that seemed to shift under the dim light of the cavern. Lily Parker had never felt so small, so insignificant, standing before something so ancient and mysterious. Yet something about it called to her, as if it had been waiting all this time just for her. It had been 3 standard cycles since the discovery of the ruins on Proxima Centauri b, the closest exoplanet to Earth's solar system. The find had sent shockwaves through the scientific community, evidence of an advanced civilization that had seemingly vanished without a trace. Teams of researchers from across the galaxy had descended upon the planet, eager to uncover its secrets. The Galactic Confederation's finest minds had been working tirelessly to unravel the mystery of what they called the Nexus Door. Standing nearly 30 meters tall and crafted from an unknown alloy that defied analysis, the massive structure was embedded deep within the mountain range that dominated the planet's northern hemisphere. Its surface was covered in intricate patterns and symbols that no linguist or archaeologist had been able to decipher. Despite the combined efforts of the 17 most technologically advanced species in the known galaxy, the door remained sealed. Every attempt to open it had failed spectacularly. The Vorix had brought their quantum decouplers, devices capable of separating the atomic bonds of nearly any material. The Kalari had deployed their psychic adepts, beings capable of manipulating matter with their minds. The Zenith had even attempted to use their dimensional phase shifters, technology that could theoretically move objects partially out of normal spacetime. Nothing had worked. And now, humanity, the newest and least advanced members of the Galactic Confederation, had been granted permission to send their own research team, more as a diplomatic courtesy than any expectation of success. Lily wasn't even supposed to be on the expedition. At 26, she was barely out of her doctoral program in xenoarchaeology at Cambridge University. She had only been included because Professor Harrington, the team leader, had fallen ill just before departure, and she was the only one with sufficient background in Proto-Centaurian symbolism to replace him. The rest of the team, 6 brilliant scientists with decades of experience between them, had made it abundantly clear that they considered her presence an unfortunate necessity. "Parker, are you listening?" Dr. Reynolds' sharp voice snapped Lily out of her thoughts. The older woman was glaring at her from beside a complex array of scanning equipment. "I said I need those baseline readings from Sector 7. "Sorry, Dr. Reynolds," Lily replied, fumbling with her tablet. "Sending them now." Reynolds sighed dramatically. "Try to keep your head out of the clouds, Parker. We're making history here." Lily nodded, trying to ignore the sting of the rebuke. She had been working 18-hour days since they arrived, constantly trying to prove her worth to the team. But no matter what she did, they treated her like an unwanted intruder. "All this effort is pointless," muttered Dr. Chun as he calibrated a molecular resonance scanner. "The Vorix couldn't open it with technology centuries ahead of ours. What do they expect us to do?" "Ask nicely." "Protocol," said Dr. Mercer, not looking up from his own work. "Every member species gets a chance. Makes everyone feel included." He snorted. "Politics." Lily kept her head down, focusing on her assigned task of cataloging and analyzing the symbols etched into the stone around the door's perimeter. While the others worked with their advanced equipment, she was using good old-fashioned rubbings and photographs, looking for patterns that might have been missed by the more high-tech approaches. The symbols were unlike anything she had ever seen, similar in some ways to the Proto-Centaurian script found in other ruins on the planet, but with subtle differences that suggested they were either much older or served a completely different purpose. As she worked, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something familiar about them, something that tugged at the edges of her consciousness. 2 more days, Dr. Mercer announced to no one in particular. 2 more days until the Arcturians arrive with their quantum resonance array. Then we can go home and leave this mystery to beings with the actual technological capability to solve it. Lily bit her tongue. What they all failed to understand was that technology wasn't always the answer. Sometimes you needed to look at things from a different angle, to see the patterns that others had missed. As the day wore on, the team gradually dispersed, each member retreating to different sections of the excavation site to work on their respective tasks. Lily found herself alone before the massive door, the silence of the cavern broken only by the soft hum of the portable lights they had set up. She stood up, stretching her cramped muscles, and took a step back to get a broader view of the symbols she had been recording. That's when she noticed it. A section near the bottom of the door where the patterns converged in a way that was different from the rest. It was subtle, but once she saw it, she couldn't unsee it. Kneeling down, she brushed away the fine dust that had accumulated on the lower portion of the door. The patterns there seemed to flow toward a small, circular indentation about the size of her palm. It was so unobtrusive that it could easily have been overlooked, especially since everyone had been focusing on the more elaborate designs at the center of the door. That's odd, she murmured to herself, running her fingers along the edge of the depression. It was perfectly smooth, unlike the rough texture of the surrounding material. Without thinking, she placed her palm flat against the indentation. The effect was instantaneous and dramatic. A pulse of blue light shot outward from her hand, racing along the patterns etched into the door's surface, illuminating them with an eerie glow that cast shadows dancing across the cavern walls. The ground beneath her feet trembled, and a deep, resonant hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. "What the?" she gasped, trying to pull her hand away, only to find that she couldn't move. It was as if her palm had been fused to the door's surface. The humming crescendoed, and then, with a sound like 1,000 whispered voices speaking in unison, words formed in her mind, not heard, but felt, as if they were being etched directly into her consciousness. Genetic profile confirmed. Human lineage authenticated. Welcome back, Master. And then, with a grinding sound that seemed to shake the very mountain around them, the massive door began to move. Lily finally managed to wrench her hand free, stumbling backward as the enormous structure that had resisted the efforts of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations for months slowly swung inward, revealing a corridor bathed in soft, blue light. "What did you do?" Dr. Reynolds' voice came from behind her, filled with a mixture of shock and accusation. Lily turned to find the entire team staring at her, having rushed back at the sound of the door's movement. I just touched it," Lily stammered, looking down at her hand, which was tingling strangely. "There was this depression, and I put my hand on it, and then—" "Impossible," Dr. Chen declared, pushing past her to examine the now-open doorway. "We've tried every form of interaction. The Kalari even attempted tactile communication with their six-dimensional appendages." "It said, 'Welcome back, Master,'" Lily said quietly, still trying to process what had happened. "What said that?" Dr. Mercer demanded. "The door, or whatever's behind it. It spoke to me, in my mind." She looked up at their skeptical faces. "It said my human lineage was authenticated." The team exchanged glances, their expressions ranging from disbelief to concern. "Parker, maybe you should sit down," Dr. Reynolds suggested, her voice uncharacteristically gentle. "The air in this cavern has shown trace amounts of psychoactive compounds. You might be experiencing hallucinations." But Lily wasn't listening. She was staring past them, into the open doorway, where the blue light seemed to pulse with a rhythm that matched her heartbeat. Without consciously deciding to, she began walking toward it. "Parker, stop. We need to establish safety protocols before." Dr. Reynolds' protests faded as Lily stepped through the doorway. The corridor beyond was wide and tall, its walls, floor, and ceiling made of the same material as the door. The patterns continued here, flowing like rivers of light along the surfaces, illuminating her path forward. Lily moved as if in a trance, drawn by something she couldn't explain. Behind her, she could hear the frantic voices of her team, debating whether to follow her or call for backup. But their concerns seemed distant and unimportant compared to the pull she felt from deeper within the structure. The corridor led to a vast chamber, so large that the blue light couldn't reach its furthest corners, leaving them shrouded in darkness. At the center of the room stood a pedestal, and upon it, a sphere about the size of a basketball, glowing with the same blue light that illuminated the corridor. As Lily approached, the sphere pulsed brighter, and again, words formed in her mind. "Protocol initiated." Awaiting command, Master. Who are you? Lily whispered, her voice echoing in the cavernous space. The sphere pulsed again. This unit is designated Custodian. Function: maintenance and security of Gateway Nexus Point Alpha. Current status: standby mode for 1,872,436 solar cycles. Over 1,000,000 years, Lily breathed, her mind reeling at the implications. What is this place? What's a Gateway Nexus Point? This installation serves as a primary access node to the transit network, connecting all populated sectors within the administrative domain of the progenitors. Progenitors? The sphere's light shifted, patterns swirling across its surface. A moment later, a three-dimensional hologram appeared above it, showing a galaxy. No, multiple galaxies, connected by glowing lines that formed an intricate web. The progenitors established the transit network to facilitate instantaneous travel between stellar bodies throughout their domain, the custodian explained. This gateway is one of 7 primary nodes within this galactic cluster. And you called me Master, Lily said slowly. Why? I've never been here before. The sphere pulsed. Genetic authentication confirmed human lineage with 99.97% certainty. Only those carrying progenitor genetic markers may access gateway facilities. Conclusion: you are a descendant of the progenitor administrative caste. Lily's mouth went dry. Are you saying that humans are descended from these progenitors? Affirmative. The progenitors originated on the 3rd planet of this system's primary stellar body, designation Terra/Earth. When environmental catastrophe threatened their survival approximately 2 million solar cycles ago, they established colony worlds throughout the local galactic cluster, including this installation. The hologram shifted, showing Earth as it might have looked millions of years ago, then a series of other planets, including what appeared to be Proxima Centauri b, the very world they were standing on. But that's not possible, Lily protested. Human civilization is only a few thousand years old. We've only had spaceflight for less than 2 centuries. Historical records indicate that the progenitor civilization experienced multiple extinction-level events, the custodian replied. The most recent occurred approximately 12,000 solar cycles ago, resulting in technological regression across all colony worlds. This unit has remained in standby mode, awaiting the return of genetically authenticated personnel. It was waiting for humans. Dr. Reynolds' voice came from behind Lily. She turned to find the entire team standing at the entrance to the chamber, their faces a mixture of awe and disbelief. Not just any humans, Lily said quietly. It was waiting for humans with specific genetic markers. Apparently, I have them. This is preposterous, Dr. Chen declared, though his voice lacked its usual certainty. There's no evidence that humans existed as an advanced spacefaring civilization in prehistoric times. Actually, Lily said slowly, a thought forming. There wouldn't be, would there? If an extinction event was severe enough to throw us back to the Stone Age, any evidence of advanced technology would have long since been destroyed or buried beyond recognition. The genetic markers persisted, though, Dr. Mercer mused, his scientific curiosity overcoming his skepticism. Fascinating. Custodian, Lily addressed the sphere. Why has this installation remained sealed for so long? Surely other humans must have evolved the same genetic markers I have. Negative, the sphere pulsed. The specific genetic sequence required for authentication was engineered to be recessive and rare, appearing in less than 0.001% of the progenitor population. This was a security measure to prevent unauthorized access to transit network facilities. So I just got lucky. Lily asked incredulously. Probability calculations suggest that your presence here is not the result of random chance, the custodian replied. This unit detected your genetic signature upon your arrival on this world and initiated the illumination sequence on the access portal to attract your attention. Lily remembered how the patterns on the door had seemed to shift under the light, how she had felt drawn to them from the moment she arrived. You've been calling to me. Affirmative. Dr. Reynolds stepped forward, her earlier skepticism giving way to cautious excitement. If what this custodian is saying is true, the implications are staggering. A prehistoric human civilization advanced enough for interstellar travel? Gateway nodes for instantaneous transportation between stars? This changes everything we thought we knew about human evolution and history. And apparently, only Lily can operate it, Dr. Mercer added, a new respect in his voice as he looked at her. Lily felt dizzy with the weight of the revelation. All her life, she had felt somehow different, out of place. Now, standing in this ancient chamber built by her distant ancestors, she understood why. She carried within her the key to humanity's forgotten legacy. Custodian, she said, her voice stronger now. What happened to the progenitors? Why did they disappear? The sphere's light dimmed slightly. Complete historical records are not available. This unit's primary function is maintenance of the gateway, not historical archiving. Available data indicates a progressive decline in progenitor population following a series of interstellar conflicts and environmental catastrophes. The last authenticated access to this gateway occurred approximately 12,000 solar cycles ago, just before the end of the last ice age on Earth, Lily murmured. The timing matches some of the mass extinction events in our prehistoric record. Custodian, Dr. Reynolds interjected, her scientific mind racing with possibilities. Is this gateway functional? Can it still be used for transportation? All primary systems are operational, the sphere responded. This unit has maintained standby protocols as programmed. Transit network integrity is at 72.3% across all accessible nodes. Across all accessible nodes, Lily repeated slowly. Does that mean some nodes are inaccessible? Affirmative. 3 of the 7 primary nodes in this galactic cluster have gone offline since the last system-wide diagnostic. Cause unknown. Dr. Chin stepped forward, his earlier skepticism replaced by intensity. If this transit network is still operational, it represents technology far beyond anything currently possessed by any Galactic Confederation species. The ability to travel instantaneously between star systems. His voice trailed off, the implications too vast to articulate. We need to report this immediately, Dr. Mercer declared, already reaching for his communicator. The Confederation Council needs to be informed. Wait, Lily said sharply, a sudden unease settling over her. We need to think about this carefully. If what the custodian is saying is true, this technology was created by humans, by our ancestors, and it only responds to specific human genetic markers. How do you think the Confederation will react to that information? The team fell silent, the political implications dawning on them. Humanity was the newest, least technologically advanced member of the Galactic Confederation, often treated with condescension by the older species. The revelation that humans were potentially descended from the builders of technology that surpassed anything currently in existence would upend the entire political structure of galactic civilization. They'll try to take control of it, Dr. Reynolds said finally, her voice low. They'll claim it as a shared galactic heritage, place it under Confederation oversight, and make sure humans have limited access, Lily added. Or they might try to study me, figure out what genetic markers allow me to control it, maybe try to replicate them. An uncomfortable silence fell over the group as they considered the possibilities. What are you suggesting? Dr. Chin asked carefully. That we keep this discovery secret? That would violate every protocol of the Confederation Scientific Corps. Lily shook her head. No, not secret. But we need to understand what we're dealing with before we report it. We need leverage. She turned back to the glowing sphere. Custodian, can you provide more information about the transit network? How it works, where the other nodes are located, what happened to the progenitor civilization? This unit contains basic operational data for the gateway node and limited historical archives, the sphere responded. More comprehensive information would be available at the Central Archive, accessible via the transit network. Can you take us there? Lily asked, her heart racing. Affirmative. This unit can initiate transit to any operational node within the network upon authorized command. Lily looked back at her team, seeing the conflict on their faces, scientific curiosity warring with caution, excitement with fear of the unknown. We should at least see what else is out there, she said quietly, before we decide what to tell the Confederation. We're talking about humanity's heritage, our birthright. Don't we deserve to understand it first, before others decide what happens to it. Dr. Reynolds studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. 24 hours. We take a preliminary look, gather essential information, then return and make our report to Earth Command. Agreed. One by one, the other team members nodded their assent. Lily turned back to the sphere. Custodian, can you show us the operational nodes in the transit network? The hologram shifted again, showing the web of connections between stars. Several of the nodes glowed brightly, while others were dimmed or dark entirely. The nearest operational primary node is located in the system humans now designate Tau Ceti, the custodian informed them. It houses a secondary archive facility that may contain information relevant to your queries. Tau Ceti, Dr. Mercer breathed. That's 12 light years from Earth. It would take our fastest ships over 30 years to reach it. And we can go there instantly? Lily asked the sphere. Affirmative. Transit time is approximately 3.7 seconds between adjacent nodes. Lily took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision before her. She was about to step into a machine built by ancestors she never knew she had, to travel distances that should be impossible, seeking answers to questions she had never thought to ask. What do we need to do? She asked. Stand within the designated transit area. The sphere instructed as a circular section of the floor near the pedestal began to glow with the same blue light. This unit will initiate the transit sequence upon your command. The team exchanged nervous glances, then moved to join Lily on the glowing circle. This is insane, Dr. Chen muttered, though he didn't hesitate to step into position. Think of the paper we're going to write, Dr. Mercer replied with a nervous laugh. When all 6 of them were in position, Lily looked to the sphere once more. We're ready, Custodian. Take us to Tau Ceti. Transit sequence initiated, the sphere announced, its light pulsing more rapidly. Calculating mass parameters. Establishing network connection. Transit in 5 standard time units. The blue light intensified around them, forming a dome that obscured the chamber beyond. 4. Lily felt her heart pounding in her chest. 3. Dr. Reynolds reached out and squeezed her hand, a gesture of solidarity that surprised her. 2. The light became almost blindingly bright. 1. Lily felt a strange sensation, as if every atom in her body was being gently pulled apart and then reassembled in a slightly different configuration. Transit complete. Welcome to Gateway Nexus Point Delta, Tau Ceti system. The light dimmed, and Lily found herself standing in a chamber almost identical to the one they had just left, except that through a massive transparent dome above them, she could see an alien sky, dominated by a star noticeably different from Earth's sun. My God, Dr. Reynolds whispered. It worked. We're actually in the Tau Ceti system. Lily felt a wave of dizziness wash over her, not from the transit process, but from the enormity of what had just occurred. They had traveled 12 light years in seconds, using technology built by human ancestors millions of years ago. Custodian, she called, and was relieved to see another sphere, identical to the one on Proxima Centauri b, floating above a pedestal at the center of this chamber as well. This unit recognizes authenticated progenitor genetic signature. How may this installation be of service? You mentioned an archive here, Lily said. We need to access it. We need to know what happened to our ancestors, to the progenitor civilization. Archive access granted, the sphere responded. The chamber's walls shimmered, and suddenly they were surrounded by floating displays, each filled with symbols similar to those that had been etched on the gateway door. It's the same script, Lily murmured, stepping closer to one of the displays. To her surprise, as she focused on the symbols, they began to shift, rearranging themselves into words she could understand. It's translating for me, she said in wonder. I can read it. What does it say? Dr. Mercer asked eagerly, coming to stand beside her. Lily scanned the text before her. It's a historical record. It says that the progenitors, our ancestors, originated on Earth millions of years ago. They developed interstellar travel and colonized thousands of worlds across multiple galaxies. She moved to another display. This one talks about the transit network. It was their greatest achievement, a system that allowed instantaneous travel between any 2 points in space by folding space-time itself. She looked up, awed. They mastered technology that we've only theorized about. But what happened to them? Dr. Chen pressed. Why did they disappear? Lily moved to yet another display, this one showing images of devastation. Planets with massive impact craters, stars going supernova, entire systems consumed by what appeared to be some kind of spatial anomaly. War, she said grimly. They called it the Sundering. It lasted for thousands of years and devastated most of their civilization. She continued reading, her expression growing more troubled. They fought against something called the void entities, beings from outside normal space-time. Extra-dimensional life forms. Dr. Reynolds asked incredulously. Lily nodded slowly. According to this, the progenitors accidentally made contact with them during an experiment with their transit technology. The entities saw our universe as territory to be conquered, and the progenitors fought to defend not just themselves, but all life in our reality. And they lost. Dr. Mercer asked quietly. Not exactly, Lily replied, still reading. They eventually developed weapons that could drive the void entities back, but at enormous cost. Most of their civilization had been destroyed. The survivors were scattered across thousands of worlds, many regressing technologically as the knowledge to maintain their advanced systems was lost. She moved to another display. On Earth, the final battle against the void entities caused a cataclysm that wiped out most of the population and triggered an ice age. The survivors were reduced to a primitive state, losing all knowledge of their history. That would explain the gap in our evolutionary and historical record, Dr. Reynolds mused. The missing link between early hominids and modern humans. But some remembered, Lily continued, her voice growing excited as she accessed more information. The archive says that a group of progenitors, knowing their civilization was about to fall, encoded specific genetic markers into certain bloodlines. These markers would remain dormant for thousands of generations until conditions were right for their reactivation. Conditions like what? Dr. Chen asked. Like humans returning to space, Lily realized. The markers were designed to reactivate when humans once again developed spacefaring technology, as a way to help us rediscover our heritage without repeating the mistakes of the past. And you carry these markers, Dr. Reynolds said, looking at Lily with new understanding. Apparently so, Lily replied, feeling both humbled and exhilarated by the discovery. And according to this, there are others like me. Not many, but enough to reactivate the transit network and access the legacy our ancestors left for us. This is astounding, Dr. Mercer breathed. The political implications alone are precisely why we need to be careful about how we proceed, Dr. Reynolds interjected firmly. This information changes everything we thought we knew about human history, and it gives humanity access to technology far beyond anything currently possessed by any Confederation species. The power dynamics of the entire galaxy could shift overnight. Lily nodded, her mind racing with the implications. We need to understand more before we report back. Custodian, she called to the sphere. Are there other humans who can access the transit network? Other people with the genetic markers? Affirmative, the sphere pulsed. This unit has detected 17 individuals with sufficient genetic correspondence to activate gateway protocols. All are currently located on Earth or Earth-controlled territories. Can you identify them? Lily asked. Names and locations are available upon request, though this unit recommends caution in the distribution of such information. Lily glanced at her team. We'll need that information eventually, but the custodian is right. We should be careful about who knows. These people could be targets if the wrong groups learn about what they can do. What about the void entities? Dr. Chen asked suddenly. If we reactivate the transit network, could we potentially attract their attention again? Could we be reopening a door that our ancestors died to close? A chill ran through the group at the question. Custodian, Lily addressed the sphere. What happened to the void entities after the final battle? Is there any danger in our using the transit network? The sphere's light pulsed slowly before responding. The void entities were successfully contained by the deployment of dimensional barrier technology at all transit network nodes. The barriers remain active and at optimal functionality. Risk of incursion is minimal under current operational parameters. So they're still out there, Dr. Reynolds said grimly. Just held at bay by technology we barely understand. All the more reason for us to learn everything we can, Lily argued. Our ancestors left us this technology for a reason, not just as a legacy, but as a responsibility. They fought and died to protect all life in our universe. We owe it to them to understand what they did and why. She turned to another display, this one showing what appeared to be technical specifications for the transit network. Look at this. The network doesn't just connect to systems in our galaxy. It extends to the Andromeda Galaxy, to the Magellanic Clouds, even beyond. Our ancestors built an intergalactic civilization. They reached further than we ever imagined possible. And now that legacy falls to us, Dr. Mercer said quietly. To humanity. Not just to humanity, Lily corrected him. The archive says the progenitors had made contact with dozens of other intelligent species before the sundering. Some were allies in the war against the void entities. We need to honor those alliances, that cooperation. So what do? Dr. Chen asked. How do we present this to Earth Command, to the Confederation Council? This isn't just a scientific discovery. It's a potential shift in the balance of power across the entire known universe. Lily considered the question carefully. We need to be transparent about what we've found, but cautious about how we present it. This isn't about giving humanity an advantage over other species. It's about reclaiming a shared heritage and responsibility. The Confederation was formed to foster cooperation and mutual advancement among spacefaring species, Dr. Reynolds mused. Perhaps we could propose a joint commission to study the transit network and its implications, with the understanding that as descendants of its builders, humans would play a key role. And what about the other people with the genetic markers? Dr. Mercer asked. The ones who can activate the gateways like Lily did. We find them, Lily said firmly. We explain what we've discovered, what it means. We give them the choice to be part of this. She smiled slightly. I can't be the only one who's felt out of place their whole life, like they were meant for something they couldn't quite grasp. A comfortable silence fell over the group as they contemplated the path forward. We should gather as much information as we can from this archive before returning, Dr. Chun suggested finally. The more we understand, the better position we'll be in to negotiate with Earth Command and the Confederation. Lily nodded, turning back to the displays. Custodian, can you provide us with a comprehensive overview of the transit network, its extent, capabilities, and security protocols? Affirmative, the sphere responded. Compiling data for presentation. As the displays began to fill with information, Lily felt a sense of purpose unlike anything she had experienced before. She had come to Proxima Centauri b as an afterthought, a last-minute replacement deemed barely qualified for the mission. Now she stood at the threshold of a discovery that would redefine humanity's place in the universe. The team worked tirelessly for hours, documenting everything they could from the archive. They learned that the transit network had once connected over 10,000 worlds across multiple galaxies, that the progenitors had developed technology that could harness the energy of stars, cure any disease, and even manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe. But more than the technology, they discovered the philosophy that had guided their ancestors. The progenitors had been explorers and builders, driven by a thirst for knowledge and a deep respect for the diversity of life they encountered. They had formed alliances with dozens of other intelligent species, sharing knowledge and resources in a vast cooperative network that spanned the stars. Until the sundering. Until the war that had nearly destroyed everything. It's getting late, Dr. Reynolds said eventually, checking her chronometer. We've been here almost 20 hours. We should prepare to return. Lily nodded reluctantly. As fascinating as the archive was, they had responsibilities to their team back on Proxima Centauri b and to Earth Command. Custodian, she addressed the sphere. We need to return to Proxima Centauri b now. But we'll be back. This unit will maintain all systems in operational status, the sphere responded. Transit sequence can be initiated upon request. The team gathered once more on the glowing circle in the center of the chamber. With a final look at the alien sky visible through the dome above, Lily gave the command to return. The transit was as smooth and quick as before. In seconds, they found themselves back in the chamber on Proxima Centauri b, where the rest of the research team was waiting anxiously. You've been gone for almost a day, exclaimed the expedition's security officer, a former military man named Captain Blake. We were about to send in a search team. We found something incredible, Dr. Reynolds told him, her voice filled with barely contained excitement. Something that changes everything we thought we knew about human history and our place in the universe. As they explained what they had discovered, the expressions of the other team members ranged from disbelief to awe. Captain Blake, in particular, looked deeply troubled. "This is far above my pay grade," he said finally. "We need to inform Earth Command immediately." "We will," Lily assured him. "But we need to be careful about how we present this information. The political implications are enormous. The Confederation Council will want to claim authority over the transit network," Dr. Chen added. "We need to establish humanity's legitimate connection to it first." Captain Blake nodded reluctantly. "I'll prepare a secure channel to Earth Command. But I warn you, once this information gets out, things are going to move very quickly. Every species in the Confederation will want access to this technology. And that's exactly why we need to proceed thoughtfully," Lily replied. "Our ancestors built this network. They fought and died to protect it, and to protect all life in our universe. We owe it to them to honor that legacy." As the team prepared their report, Lily found herself drawn back to the massive doorway that had started it all. Standing before it, she placed her palm once more on the small depression that had responded to her touch. The patterns illuminated again, swirling with blue light that seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat. "Custodian," she whispered, "are you there?" "This unit acknowledges authenticated user," came the response in her mind. "How may this installation be of service?" "Why me?" Lily asked, the question that had been nagging at her since the door first opened. "Out of all the billions of humans in the galaxy, why did I have the genetic markers to activate the gateway?" The patterns shifted, forming a complex spiral that seemed to reach toward her. "The genetic markers were not distributed randomly," the custodian explained. "They were encoded into specific bloodlines, preserved through generations for this purpose. You are the culmination of a plan set in motion 12,000 years ago by the last progenitor archivists on Earth." "But why?" Lily pressed. "Why go to such lengths to ensure someone like me would eventually find this place?" "Because the threat is not over," the custodian replied, its mental voice growing somber. "The void entities were contained, not destroyed. The dimensional barriers will not hold indefinitely. When they fail, and eventually, they will fail, someone must be ready to stand against the darkness once more." Lily felt a chill run through her. "You're saying the war isn't over? That it could begin again?" "All wars end, but conflict is eternal," the custodian responded. "Your ancestors knew this. They prepared for a future they would never see, planting seeds that would grow into the defense of all they held dear. And now that responsibility falls to me? To us?" Lily asked, her voice barely audible. "To all who carry the legacy of the progenitors," the custodian confirmed. "You are not alone in this burden, nor will you be in the trials to come." Lily stood in silence for a long moment, absorbing the weight of what she had learned. When she had boarded the research vessel to Proxima Centauri b, she had been seeking knowledge, validation, a chance to prove herself to her peers. Instead, she had found a heritage beyond imagining, and a responsibility to match. "Lily," Dr. Reynolds' voice came from behind her. "Earth Command is ready to receive our report." Lily turned, seeing her colleague, her friend, standing at the entrance to the corridor. The respect and concern in the older woman's eyes told Lily that she was no longer viewed as an unwanted addition to the team, but as an equal, perhaps even a leader. "I'll be right there," Lily replied, then turned back to the door one last time. "Thank you, custodian, for waiting, for trusting me with this. This unit exists to serve," came the simple response. "The legacy of the progenitors lives on in you, Lily Parker. Remember that in the days to come." As Lily walked back to join her team, she felt a strange mixture of fear and exhilaration. The universe had just become infinitely larger and more complex than she had ever imagined. Ancient technologies, extra-dimensional threats, a legacy stretching back millions of years. It was almost too much to comprehend. But she was not alone. Humanity was not alone. And together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, armed with the knowledge and tools their ancestors had sacrificed so much to preserve for them. The ancient door had opened for her, welcoming her as Master. But Lily understood now that the title carried more responsibility than authority. She was not a master of the technology, but a steward of the legacy it represented, a legacy of exploration, cooperation, and ultimately, protection of all life against forces that would destroy it. As she joined the others gathered around the communication array, preparing to change the course of human history with the information they were about to share, Lily felt a sense of purpose settling over her. Whatever came next, she was ready to face it. The door had opened. The path forward was clear, and humanity would never be the same again. Earth Command's response was immediate and decisive. Within hours of receiving their report, a high-security quarantine was established around the gateway site. Within days, a delegation of Earth's highest-ranking officials arrived on Proxima Centauri B, accompanied by representatives from the Galactic Confederation Council. The revelation that humans were descendants of the progenitors, the builders of technology that surpassed anything currently in existence, sent shockwaves through galactic society. Some Confederation species responded with skepticism, others with concern or outright alarm. The Vorks, in particular, were vocally opposed to allowing humans unrestricted access to the transit network. As one of the oldest and most technologically advanced species in the Confederation, they had long viewed themselves as the natural leaders of galactic society. The idea that the comparatively primitive humans might suddenly leapfrog past them was deeply threatening. This technology belongs to all sentient beings, the Vorks ambassador declared during an emergency council session. It predates all current civilizations and should be placed under Confederation oversight for the benefit of all. But others saw the situation differently. The Kalari, whose psychic abilities had allowed them to sense the ancient power sleeping within the gateway, argued for respecting humanity's connection to the progenitors. We have all felt the resonance between the human Parker and the gateway systems, the Kalari representative said. To deny this connection would be to deny reality itself. The humans did not build this technology, but they are its inheritors by the design of its creators. Through it all, Lily found herself at the center of a political maelstrom she had never anticipated. She was debriefed by Earth Command, questioned by Confederation scientists, and even approached privately by representatives of various species with offers of alliance or veiled threats. "They're afraid of us now," Dr. Reynolds observed during a rare moment of quiet as they watched the diplomatic furor from the sidelines. "Or at least, they're afraid of what we might become with access to this technology." "They don't understand," Lily replied. "This isn't about power or advantage. It's about responsibility." The transit network wasn't just a transportation system. It was a defense network, created to protect all life in our universe from a threat most of them don't even know exists. Dr. Reynolds nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps that's the angle we should be emphasizing. Not that humans have some special claim to the technology, but that we have a responsibility to use it as our ancestors intended, for the benefit and protection of all." The idea took root and began to shape the human approach to negotiations. Rather than claiming exclusive control of the transit network, Earth's representatives proposed the formation of a new organization, the Progenitor Legacy Council, that would include representatives from all Confederation species but acknowledge the special role of humans in interfacing with the technology. It was a delicate balance, recognizing humanity's unique connection to the progenitors while reassuring the other species that this discovery would benefit all. Slowly, the most strident opposition began to soften. Meanwhile, Earth Command had quietly begun identifying and contacting the 17 other humans with the genetic markers that allowed them to activate the gateways. They came from all walks of life: a Japanese quantum physicist, a Brazilian marine biologist, a Kenyan agricultural engineer, a Norwegian deep-sea explorer, and others. Some had already been working in fields related to space exploration. Others had never considered leaving Earth. All of them, however, reported the same sense of disconnection that Lily had felt throughout her life, a feeling that they were meant for something more, something beyond the ordinary paths available to them. 3 months after the initial discovery, the first official joint expedition through the transit network was approved by the newly formed Legacy Council. Led by Lily and including representatives from 7 Confederation species, the mission was to survey the extent of the operational network and assess its current status. Standing once more before the gateway on Proxima Centauri B, Lily couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed since she first placed her hand on the door. She was no longer an overlooked junior scientist, but the lead coordinator for humanity's greatest discovery. The team that had once barely tolerated her presence now looked to her for guidance. And yet, the weight of responsibility had only grown heavier. The custodian's warning about the void entities remained a constant presence in her thoughts. The dimensional barriers would not hold forever. Sooner or later, the ancient enemy would return, and the galaxy, the universe, would need to be ready. Nervous? Asked Mercer, who had been selected as one of the human representatives on the expedition. Lily smiled slightly. Terrified. Excited. Both. That makes 2 of us, he replied, glancing at the diverse group assembled for the mission. Vorax scientists with their crystalline exoskeletons, hovering Kalari psychics, reptilian zenith engineers, and others. A year ago, none of us would have imagined standing here, preparing to step through a doorway to another star system. Life has a way of surprising you, Lily agreed. Then, raising her voice to address the entire team, is everyone ready? At their affirmative responses, she turned to the door and placed her palm on the now familiar depression. The patterns illuminated, swirling with blue light. Custodian, she called. We're ready to begin our survey of the transit network. Acknowledged, came the response in her mind, audible only to her. This unit has compiled a suggested itinerary of operational nodes, prioritizing those with strategic significance or historical importance. Thank you, Lily replied. We'll follow your guidance. As the massive door swung open once more, revealing the corridor bathed in blue light, Lily felt a sense of coming home. This technology, this legacy, it was part of her in a way she was only beginning to understand. And now she would help share it with the galaxy, honoring the vision of ancestors she had never known, but whose blood ran in her veins. Let's go, she said to her team, stepping forward into the corridor. We have a universe to rediscover. And as they moved toward the transit chamber, ready to instantaneously cross the vast gulfs between stars, Lily knew that this was just the beginning. The ancient door had opened for her, recognizing her as the inheritor of a legacy millions of years in the making. Now it was up to her, up to all of humanity, to prove worthy of that trust. The path ahead would not be easy. There would be conflicts with other species, disagreements about how the technology should be used, and eventually, the return of a threat that had nearly destroyed their ancestors. But they would face these challenges together, united by the knowledge that they were not just explorers of the universe, but its stewards and protectors. The ancient door had welcomed her as master. Now she understood that the true mastery lay not in controlling the technology, but in using it wisely, in accordance with the values and vision of those who had created it. And in that understanding, Lily Parker, once an overlooked junior scientist, now the bridge between humanity's forgotten past and its unlimited future, found her true purpose. And that was the end of the story. If you listened all the way to here, don't forget to leave feedback about what you thought of the story in the comments, whether positive or negative. Your feedback helps us improve. Also leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. And I'll leave here on the screen another video that I'm sure you'll like. Big hug, and see you in the next story.